Hello, my friend Lei. How are you?
Hello, my friend Leanne. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm excited about the stuff that we've chosen to talk about because there's a lot there's a lot of energies, but a lot of goodness too. So,
And it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
likewise. Yes, it always helps me ground for sure.
So we
Um,
have a full moon coming up like
yeah,
tomorrow, I
yeah,
think.
yes.
And it's a full moon in Leo, which is an interesting time. It could be, um, for some, it could be rather um, exciting, explosive. It Leo tends to be a little high strung and a little I hate to say this, but because it doesn't sound quite right, but a little overly self-assured.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be careful with that with ourselves. So if I read the passage from the book, which sums it up very nicely, Leo is the sign of pride, and the full moon is always an intense time. Put them together, and the full moon in Leo can be a time when people tend to go a little over the top in terms of rating themselves. Don't let that person be you.
Well, and as an overthinker in a very um real way, I know that we can be our own worst, you know, critics, and we say things to ourselves in our head. I talk about self-talk all the time that we would never ever say to another human being or an animal or anything, right? So to me, this moon ties into how are we talking to ourselves and how can we take it easy on ourselves, being able to gather what's needed, be exuberant when it's needed, watch for the healing when it presents itself, and ride the wave of a full moon in Leo.
And at the same time, shine our light
Exactly. Exactly.
and know the difference between shining your light and, shall we say, being a braggart.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it's interesting that you brought that up because ego comes up a lot when I talk about self-care with people. Well, I can't do that because it's selfish. Well, those are two different things. And nicely so, we have started to redefine it, which is exciting. Um,
And self-care has been well touted now as not just something that is a luxury, but is an absolute necessity.
yeah, yeah, I have to.
And the difference between self-care and self-aggrandizement, when is it, where is that line? And I don't think there's really a line. I think they're two completely different things.
Mm,
One comes from, I really need to take care of me so that I can do what I need to in the world and possibly help other people. And the other is, from the ego's point of view, it's, I don't feel good about myself, so I'm going to portray myself as more than I think I am so that people will like me better.
mm,
In self-care, there is no caring about what other people think of you.
yeah, you're doing what you need for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's about knowing you and your inner self better,
Mm,
not relating to the outside world.
hmm And it is interesting how so many people still feel like that and are told that that is selfish. There's still the taboo out there, not in every person's life, but some society stuff is still pushing up against that and going, well, you don't deserve that. You haven't worked hard enough, or you haven't done this, or you haven't, well, why is it a comparison game in the first place? Not a competition to survive. Yeah, okay, we could compete for resources, but only in the way that we're seeing the world. Like, there's enough resources for all of us and then some.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is there's absolutely no reason for competition
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
We when we understand who we truly are and who we are in oneness with everyone
Mm-hmm.
else,
Mm-hmm.
there is no reason for competition.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough for
Exactly.
everybody. And we all, instead of trying to hoard, 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 which is the opposite, that's the fear-based
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Share. You share, I share. You share to me, I share to you. Everybody is sharing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's that energetic exchange. The it reminds me of that little song, Love is something when you give it away, you end up getting more or having more. Like a magic penny, is that the song? Magic penny or something like that. And the feelings, right? The connection with self that offers. There was also a Friends episode, that TV show, where Phoebe was challenged to find a good deed that didn't also serve her or something like that. And she was having such a hard time. I don't remember the whole show, but it just reminds me of the concept of we don't necessarily need to have the forethought of doing it
Mm-hmm.
because it makes us feel good or to serve the other. It's just that's what we do. We're just, you know, doing it.
And as we give, so shall we receive. So,
Yeah.
yes, you first have to be able to give. You have to receive. You have to allow yourself to receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same point in time, as you give, so shall you receive, and allow yourself to have that, and makes a beautiful continuous cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, continuous cycle, full moon, round, bright, present, as always present. It's just whether or not we can visibly see it with the naked eye, with the sun shining on it. And I want to come back to that, letting your light shine through it all, because it's tough, you know? It's tough.
It is.
Yeah. Um, when we think of the moon cycles and where we're at right now, this one is the first full moon of the year, right?
Yes.
Of the calendar year, if you will. Um, and full moons are about letting go and releasing, giving away the things that you haven't wanted to hold on or that are
That no longer
annoying,
serve.
right? Annoying you because they keep coming back or clinging on somehow, or those patterns that you don't need to carry anymore, they just are still there. So, is there anything you want to share about that?
I really think that we've got it pretty well covered for this particular month.
Yeah. Okay. Um, where would you like to go?
Well,
being
I,
good.
w- I would really like to talk about um, how we live our best lives and how we exit this particular life.
Sure.
And this will go back to um, an event I had last year where I was given the possibility, the practice, and the process for how to leave form pain free and
Mm,
suffering free, and
mhm,
why it is that we think those are necessary, because they're not. But we have been given through, we have been almost forced into boxes
mhm,
that are not necessarily of our best interest. And one of those boxes is in how we leave form. For instance, I'm just going to give a quick example. And I've heard several stories of people who have animals this way, but it's people too, and I'll go into that. When the people have an animal and they're really close to the animal, they're careful watching these animals, but it's the animal's time to leave form. For instance, in this case, my sister had a dog, and the dog was old, but the dog seemed in fairly good health, not a puppy anymore by any means, but still in good health. But it was her time to leave form, and so she went up to my sister and nuzzled her a little bit to go outside. And when she went outside, she went under her favorite tree and she left form. And I've heard this with other animals also, but I've also heard it from people. If we
mhm,
look at some of what we consider to be some of the gurus, they will live their lives, and then when it's time for them to go, they not only just leave their form, but their entire form will transform from a physical form into just energy and just dissipate. And so, in several cultures, Eastern cultures, they allow 3 days for someone who has left form before they do anything with the remains, so that they have time for this transformation. And as I've said, some of the gurus will transform completely, and there's
mhm,
nothing left to, to process. There
mhm,
might be a little bit of hair and maybe some nails, and everything else has transformed. And we think of that as a miracle, a miracle. But what I'm being told, especially by the Atlantean, is that that is our natural state. That is our natural way. We don't have to have the way it is, where we've been told you have to live this way and you have to leave form in a
mhm,
painful and stressful and very unpleasant way. Even the process of getting to that is not of our general nature. In fact, the process is when we choose, when we have done what we came here to do, and we know it, we will know our time. That we can go through a process and we can release ourselves, our inner selves, our energy body from our physical body, and allow the physical body to transform. No pain, pain free, suffering free. And that's what they want for all of us, is for us to break down those boxes from the old In fact, one of the quotes that I've heard, and it's not from me, it's not from my people, was, "We will get rid of cancer when we no longer see it as an exit.
Mm.
We will get rid of all of these ways of exiting when we no longer see them as necessary, no longer see them as what we have to have,
Mm.
and when we start living in true oneness."
Right.
Your thoughts?
In that moment when you just asked me, I was thinking about what relationships would look like. Because a lot right now, a lot of the conversations I'm having are around intimate conversations and intimate relationships. Not talking about sexual stuff. I'm just talking about people wanting to really be known and seen and heard and felt by someone else. And this oneness is just that.
They are
So
wanting to
how
break
that
those boxes
exactly,
that we've
yeah,
been put in.
right. Yeah, exactly. And it's that connection with self that, in the work that I do, I try to guide the person on creating for themselves and remembering, right? So when you just asked me about that, that's in the moment what I was curious about is what would intimacy look like? What would relationship feel like when we know when and that we are part of the one. We are the one.
And she actually went through that with me. She is kind of the, I don't know what to say, how to say it. They don't have a leader or anything, but she seems to be more of the more of her energy comes through than the others. And this is the Atlantean. And she says like this: when you know you are oneness, then you also know that all else is also oneness. And when you understand that all is oneness, there can be nothing but respect for all. And so the relationships become, as even though we still each have our own individual experience, we all are in oneness and we all respect each other. But because we're all in oneness with everything, that includes plants, animals, the earth, everything, including the universe, we also know the abundance of oneness everywhere and in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when there is no lack, there is also peace, because there's no reason. If you have abundance all around you, you don't need more. There's no reason for strife.
Yeah.
And you are allowed to do whatever it is you came here to do in the way that you wanted to do it, without power structures trying to box you in and take your power away from you or ask you to give your power to them. They can't do that because everyone is equally oneness. And so if you're meant to be a musician, you get to produce music. If you're meant to be a writer, you write. If you're meant to be a farmer, you farm. And you farm wonderfully well, producing all sorts of goods that you share, because we all share equally with
Mm-hmm.
our talents and abilities that we've been given.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how the world looks. All relationships become interpersonal relationships. And all relationships become interpersonal with the self, which is you, which is everything. which is oneness.
Yeah. Hmm. I feel it. Being able to know a glimmer of what it feels like is a powerful step in the process. And I know how I start people off on the process, but how in this moment would you suggest to others who have never felt that, who are still curious on whether that is even real? Where would you have people start?
Let's go through a little process. Take in one very deep breath. Let it out slowly. Feel the relaxation. In that moment of relaxation, you get your first glimpse of oneness. It's simple. No
Awesome.
strife, no pain, no suffering, no strife.
Mhm. And as people feel that relaxation longer, perhaps, or a few more times than normal, or, you know, however you want to describe more depth, um, more will occur in and out of that state.
Oh yes, and as 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 the lower vibrational energy makes itself known, it becomes easier and easier to say, ah, I'm going to choose a different way. I'm going to choose this higher vibrational way that feels so good that it actually feels natural.
Mhm.
And the other way does not feel natural. So that's, it is a process, but for those who are just starting, it's not important where the train is going. What matters is that you get on. Thank you,
Mhm.
Tom Hanks in the Polar Express.
Nice. That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the best place to start? Wherever you are.
Yeah. Wonderful. And and also that piece of like letting go of the physical body can be applied to letting go of the things that we feel we struggle with or suffer from, or the chains we carry or something like that. Like there's so many ways of healing now, and we're getting closer and closer to that ultimate oneness, instant healing, really, that we do have the capacity of, because of history and current cultures that do that, um, and are still connected that way. Being able to apply it to the less physical things, like the emotional stuff, right? Those wounds.
And that's coming up really strongly right now as I continue to hear it said, all healing comes from within, not from without. For all
Mm-hmm.
the cultures who have been taught for so long and just had it drummed down into us that you have no power, you must have healing from without, from a pill, from a method, from whatever. All healing comes from within. A quick story on this from Hawaiian culture back before the Western culture invaded it. Uh, there's a just imagine that there is a healer called a kumu, which is teacher. And she's kind of elderly. She lives in her little hut. And there are young boys playing outside of her hut. And they play rough, as little boys do. And they're playing really rough. And one of them falls and breaks his arm. Okay. They don't have a hospital to go to. They first, and there's no question, they go to the kumu. And the kumu takes them all in, and she makes a little brew of some sort. And she gives it not just to the one who broke his arm, but to all of them, because they're all part of the experience and they all need to be healed. And she gives them all this little potion, and she says, now, each of you has the power to heal within you. You know that. We've taught you that for all of your lives. Heal. And the one whose arm was broken is healed. And the others who were with him are friends. Nobody has any anger against each other. Nobody has any separation. They remain all one. And this works into something that I've been given, which I think is extremely important. It is a message that came to me from a phone, my husband's phone, when he was not touching it, when he was not near the phone. And yet the message came through to me. And the message, with a little bit of meditation for the message to become extremely clear, reads like this. Infinite bliss here on earth. Infinite bliss in leaving form. Infinite bliss in oneness. And this is the way that we are meant to live, that we were created to live. And it's a message that is a picture of where we're moving to.
Yay. That's beautiful.
And just that little part for anyone who may be struggling to feel the bliss, say those 3 little phrases, sentences to yourself, and you will feel it. And the more you say that, the more you will feel it. Mm-hmm. And it also leads you to the process of how to leave form that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Infinite bliss here on earth. Infinite bliss in leaving form. Infinite bliss in oneness.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Yes.
I take no credit. They came through me. They bring it through me.
Yeah. I remember when you first sent me that text message. Look what his phone just sent me. Yeah.
And it was the message itself was so well put in. The first 3 lines of it were 1 line each, and it said 6, 7, 8, which, if you look at what in numerology that means, in angel numbers, whatever you want to call it, 6, 7, 8 means message coming in. Cool.
Yep.
It was like them, they don't have phones, but that would be like they're ringing on the phone. Ring.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And this comes at a beautiful time because a lot of people that I'm talking to, not only in my practice, but the schoolyard and just around, feel more anxious. There's more anxiety right now. There's, even if people aren't identifying it as anxiety, there's like, even I am having to be very conscious of being grounded, that pulling down, the really like planting my roots, feeling them far, far deep with Gaia, like just holding them and holding me. And, you know, whether regardless of where you are on the planet, just knowing that all of the cycles are occurring the way they need to right now, whether it's a weird year or not for you, and what you're saying is allowing those things in infinite time and infinite oneness to
Be.
be, like
Just be.
just be.
Thank you, Ramdas.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I've heard that. I will timidly share for years, and I haven't listened until very recently. Uh, be. Stop doing so much and be, Leanne. And okay, I
Yeah.
get it. It's in my face now. I have to.
Stop efforting and
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
Allow,
yeah,
flow, whatever word you want to put in it.
exactly. Yeah. Infinite bliss. What
Mhm.
a lovely place to,
Come back to whenever we feel the world coming in us
yeah,
or coming
absolutely.
to us, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Because it's not really the world, it's our perception.
hmm
And if we change that perception to infinite bliss, that world goes away and we make a new one.
hmm Yeah. Yummy. I love it. Thank you, my friend, as always. It is
Thank you.
incredible to be in the space with you. And a few times when you were speaking, your lights, the connection, whatever it was, shone through, vibrated, emanated in and through and around you and out to us. So,
They do that.
yes. Yes. I know they're always here, but I can definitely tell now when, yeah, when they're right, right here at the service. So it's very cool. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think that's it.
Cool. So with editing and stuff, we can edit this stuff out, but was now as we've talked through those things, is there anything else that you want to talk about as a segment or a shorter video or anything?
Oh, they're saying we're done.
Okay, for today.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's good.
They're saying 3 shorts.
Oh
So
my gosh, I was just gonna say that. I feel like there are three in here. Yeah. So I've been noticing that my I, telepathic, if you will, it's not necessarily the word that I want to use, but my hearing, my listening has been peaked and more in tune. I will say things with those around me um, as they're thinking of them.
I heard
And
my husband thinking this morning.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So um, even if people aren't around me, and I've said this to you before, but I don't, um, it's hard to shut off because I can feel people and hear them from across the world sometimes.
And you shouldn't shut it off. That's part of the process.
Yeah,
And
very,
this one should be between you and me. I maybe we can make it into another one. But telepathic communication is what has happened for gazillions of years, uh,
yeah.
and still happens in most life forms on this planet, except for humanity. And even parts of humanity still do communicate that way. When you communicate that way, you lose separation and you gain oneness. And it changes how you think, how you process. And if you use words, it changes the words,
Mm-hmm.
but especially because it changes how you think, because you know that what you think is part of oneness, and every other part of oneness hears, feels, sees, knows it. You change how you think.
Yeah.
You become part of oneness.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if you speak badly to plants, they feel it. If you speak lovingly to plants, they feel it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And I think we as humans do this more than we're conscious of, right? We have the capacity and we already do it. It's just whether or not we're labeling it as such or consciously thinking that or attuning it or whatever.
And as we get more conscious of that, we realize how much we really do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then we realize that we actually do not only, we have a relationship with everything, the plants and animals around us, the people around us. And in knowing that relationship is there, we change how we think about them. They
Mm-hmm.
become no longer them or other, but part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in doing that that we really change the world.
Yeah.
And when you do that, the amazing thing is not only do you hear better, deeper, on a completely different level, you see the colors become vibrant. It's not that there's not, they're still green and blue and red, but they are so vibrant and alive. You can feel the energy of the colors.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel the energy of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it flow through you and come in and go out. And because that's what we all are, is energy, just
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Yeah.
And whether we realize it or not, that energy is flowing to everything around us. And when we do realize that, and we choose how we are going to be and participate in the world, we transform the world. We transform the perception, our perception of the world, and that changes our world.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really cool. I love it, and I'm spending more time being with it. I'm not trying to force it. I'm not trying to understand it. I'm not trying to, you know, gain from it. It's just being with it. And it's cool.
and enjoying the bliss from it.
Exactly. Exactly. And people's reactions are so fun sometimes too. They're like, even my student, just before I was talking to you, she's like, "Get out of my head." I said,
That's not possible.
"Yeah." It's like, I apologize, but I don't at the same time because I know this is what you need to hear. You know? Yeah. Which is why I came here. Part of the reason. So, yeah. It's 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you.